Hey, I'm Tommy. I've got an EOS R camera right here. It's got continuous focusing mode on and continuous burst mode on in the fastest that it can do with continuous focusing mode on. I've got a really big lens right here. I'm at the air show. I'm getting ready to take the photo and I forgot. This camera can only take 3 to 5 frames a second in burst mode. Well, that's the topic of today's video. We're going to talk about how you could still nail that shot at your next air show with a much slower camera in continuous shooting mode. I usually like to, stress on this channel, get a higher frames per second burst mode for your camera body. It's a very valuable asset to have because you can just pull an image out of an entire sequence of images per trick and just get that peak moment of the trick that the air show is doing. But a lot of times I'll even shoot it in lower continuous mode if it's a slower aircraft or something like that. Or I don't need like the specific timing on it. So thank you very much to Alexander, aka Reaper Photo, for sending me an email on my website asking me this question. He has a camera that only shoots about 3 frames a second. So he was wondering how I can manage to get some shots while I'm out at the air show. So we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the techniques that you can do and get that shot you're looking for. All right, so the first thing that you want to do is look for the center stage. Now, the center stage is not center stage of you, the audience member, or where you are. It's where the aircraft is going to be flying as close to you guys as possible, and what kind of trick it's doing is usually going to happen at its peak moment somewhere around that frame, right? So you want to find the air show center. Now, it's really hard to find air show center in some air shows, and it's really easy to find in others. Sometimes all you have to do is go on a website and look up where the air show center is. It'll point right to it on the flight line there, so you can get whatever kind of marking there and kind of figure out where you want to position yourself. And then other times it won't list it at all, and you'll have no idea where the actual center is, or it'll be a very cryptic thing. I know in a previous video I talked about it's like a barge with a flag that, do you really know that that's the center or not? They don't really say, right? So if that scenario happens and you don't get a clear-cut explanation of where airshow center is, what I would recommend is go find the VIP tents. They are usually, the reason why these are really valuable is the VIP area has all the best amenities. They have the chairs, they have the shade structure tents that are going up. They are sometimes have snacks and food and things, but they're almost always a roped off area with a really nice set of amenities right near air show center. So it's like the best place to be, especially if you're like a general ticket holder and you don't have a VIP ticket. You can just position yourself somewhere nearby the VIP tent, obviously without the tents blocking your view, but like somewhere nearby that, and you'll get a good roundabout area of where center stage is. And then as you watch the performances, you can get a better handle on where the exact center is based on the consistency of where the aircraft are passing through at any given time. So that's the first technique. I would say look for the VIP booths, or just look on a website on the map and see where airshow center is and position yourself as close to that as you can. So now that you've found center stage, you now officially know where the aircraft is going to pass through the middle of the stage and do the trick as closest to that spot as possible. Your next step is to find the speakers. Now, I mean speakers as in like audio speakers. The announcer is going to talk somewhere off to the side. It's usually like a stage or a little raised up truck or even just a small booth that the announcer for the air show is going to be in. And he will talk about what the aircraft are doing in the sky at any time. You want to be near enough to where you can hear what the announcer is saying without being at the announcer booth or being right up against one of these speakers. Typically, when you're looking at these audio speakers, they're like on a little tripod, sticking up above the crowd and projecting out towards the crowd. If you can get near one of those without getting right up against it, that's your best bet. Right up against it could damage your hearing because those speakers are really loud and they're projecting super far out, right? So you don't want to be right up against it. But if you can get far enough away to where it's not bothering you with how loud it is, but you could still hear what the announcer is saying, and put that in relation to where you are close to center stage. If you get that nice balance between center stage and that speaker, you'll have a really good spot to hear what the announcer is saying, so you know what trick to expect next.
Known as the Cobra.
And the announcer will say something like, they're going to do a Cobra, for example, and it's going to go like this, right? So he's going to try to get close to the center stage to start the trick. So now you know, okay, I need to be pointing relatively at center stage thanks to hearing what the announcer said he was about to do. You're in that spot. But say sometimes they do things like 4-point rolls or 6-point rolls or whatever. And that thing now, it's going to start way before the center stage, and it's going to kind of come through the center point in the middle of its trick. Probably maybe, like, say it's a 4-point roll. Say the second roll is going to happen through the middle or right before the middle or whatever. So now you know whatever direction the aircraft is coming, you look out for that, and now you know to start shooting before it hits center stage and not after, or not on center stage, rather. So the announcer is very helpful because it gives you like a little bit of intel to figure out what you're going to be predicting the trick is going to be next on where your timing of your shot's going to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the most feared aircraft in the world today, your United States Air Force's F-22 Raptor!
Okay, and the final technique is to just pan practicing. So panning, practicing is where the aircraft is coming, and as it comes, you want to be able to acquire the focus, get used to acquiring the focus and keeping the aircraft in the frame the whole way through, and then taking the shot when the time is right. Again, you only have 3 frames a second or so. It's a very slow amount of shots that you're going to be able to take. So you want to be able to get them when it's the closest to what you are looking for, whether that's the start of a trick, the middle of the trick. As the aircraft is coming at you, you can get like the nose picture or like a flat profile, or even the back engine as it's going away from you, whatever you're really wanting. And the best way to do this, the best way to handle this is if you have your camera and you're pointing way out at the distance horizon where the aircraft is coming. You see the aircraft as like a small blip in your camera itself, in the frame of your camera. What I want you to do is just tap your focus, whether that's the half press shutter speed or the back button focus. I recommend using back button focus just because it's more comfortable. But if you're not used to that, don't worry about it right now. We'll probably talk about that in a later video. But you're just going to tap your focus as the aircraft comes. Every few seconds, the aircraft is going to get bigger in your frame, and you're just going to make sure that that box locks onto its focus. So just tap that focus. If you have focus tracking, this is probably going to be a lot easier for you. You don't have to worry about this. You just wait till it gets really close and then activate focus tracking. But even then, sometimes you need single point autofocus on half of your camera to be able to hit as it gets closer, so that when you go to try to do tracking, it doesn't hunt all over the place. Now that brings me to also when you're doing single point focusing, sometimes your camera is going to hunt in the air, right? It's going to have a hard time finding the subject. That's okay. This is just trying to do that technique right now. It's going through the full range of its focusing motor to try to get the aircraft. That just simply means that your aircraft generally is too far away for your camera to find. So that's fine. Just wait till it gets closer and try again, and just keep trying. As the aircraft gets closer and you keep tapping that focus to keep keeping it in the focus as it goes through, what happens is when you get your camera to a certain point, around here, I'm going to get ready to fire my photos. So I've got focus, then all of a sudden it's here, and now we're almost parallel. If you notice, this whole thing is now parallel to me which is the best place, the closest shot, the best kind of image is right there in this little range right in the front. So if you're taking that shot here, you just fire off your burst right then and there. The faster your burst mode, the faster you can, or the longer you can pan across while you're firing. And so just shorten that distance based on how fast your camera's going. If it's only 3 shots, I would do just like a shoulder to shoulder movement. See that little bit of a movement there? That's all I would do for like a 3 shot timing to make sure to get it right there in the center. Obviously, if you see the trick doing something early, you can see what it's doing in the middle of its shots. And if it starts, say for example, the aircraft is starting to bank in a way, and it starts doing that bank, you're gonna get like the kind of like different kinds of tells that the aircraft is doing. So don't start your shot like right here, like right as it's about to do it. But if it's gonna go like this way, for example, it's gonna turn this way first and then do this. So now I wanna get the shot of the underneath side. I'm gonna have to wait till it's about here, fire off those shots and let it go. This all takes practice and all prediction. Like the more you practice, the more you'll understand the movement that the aircraft is doing, and you'll be able to get the timing of the shots a lot easier. But basically, that's it. Just keep tapping that focus and getting in there. If you're not at an air show practicing this, you can practice at a commercial or international airport. There's like little parks with the aircraft that take off and land nearby that park, so you can take photos of that. You can practice coming in and out of the frame. All they're going to do is come in and go up. They're not going to do anything fancy, but at least it'll give you like timing on moving through your frame and what you're going to shoot and focus with. You could also, for kind of like an expert mode, do like birds in flight. The reason why I say it's kind of like an expert mode is a lot of birds move really, really fast in the frame. So you're going to be kind of like whipping through the frame really quickly when you're going to take a picture of a bird. So it gets a little bit difficult, but a bird in flight photo is still pretty rewarding in itself. Like, you know, so it's a good practice because then consequently you get cool photos in the meantime while you're practicing for your airshow photos. So yeah, and then of course, obviously practice at the airshow. You could practice on propeller planes. I noticed, I know with some of the speed techniques, like if you're doing a slower shutter speed to get a good propeller blur, that's going to make your panning move super slow, and then you're going to fire off that burst super carefully, keeping your camera steady. That'll be probably really good practice for then when, like, for example, a jet comes in, you could be a lot more like moving up and down with your camera as you're doing it. So yeah, that's what I would say, is just tap that focus as the aircraft comes in, and then when the aircraft is relatively parallel to you, that's the closest it'll be, and you could fire off those shots. All right, and hopefully those 3 techniques will be really helpful for you. Again, practice, practice, practice. It always is the best to practice on focusing things that are passing by you. Make sure you're close enough to hear the announcer tell the details of the trick that's about to happen, because then this way you'll get a little bit of intel of what's about to occur, and you'll be ready to start practicing on that movement. And then try to be as close to show center as possible. Sometimes that means just being next to the VIP people. Sometimes that just means looking on a website or a map and putting it there. And sometimes that means paying for a photo pit ticket and just getting in the photo pit, because you're always going to be close to the action that way. Hopefully these techniques will work for you. Get out there, practice, and hopefully something like this will no longer be a problem. Thanks a lot. I hope you liked this video. If you found anything useful, please go ahead and give me a like. If you got any more questions, please drop a comment below. And also you could subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this. I am happy to answer questions as much as possible and make more videos like this. And obviously I have a bunch of Instagrams, but here's my airshow Instagram specifically. You can go ahead and follow it right here. Here's the website that the guy emailed me on. Thank you again, Alexander, aka Reaper Photo, for asking me this question so I could help answer it for all of you. And yeah, hope you guys have a lot of fun. Get out there and enjoy your air show, and hope you get some good shots. See you later.